All right, hello. I see we've got three people with me here today, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. I believe you guys should know, but this is also being recorded onto YouTube later. You, of course, won't be visible for everyone who is currently listening live, but it's being recorded to YouTube later in case someone wishes to go back and re-listen to an episode or wasn't able to catch into it live and wants to go and watch it then. So, with that out of the way, let us go on ahead and get started. So, based on the suggestions that I received in podcast suggestions, we're going to start off with talking about the Olympics. Now, quite frankly, I didn't personally watch too much of it, but I'll be honest, but I watched some bits of it. During the time that the Olympics were mostly going on, I was out on vacation in Tennessee, so I kind of only was able to watch bits of it here and there when the Olympics were when I was at the cabin that we were staying at and could watch the Olympics at then. But there was one person who I wanted to talk about that I saw while I was watching the Olympics. Oh, we got one more person also, it looks like. Welcome on in. But there's one person that I want to talk about when I was watching the Olympics, and I just have to re-look up their name. Give me just 1 second there. But I remember watching them during the Olympics, and they absolutely blew me out of the water with how impressive their capabilities were. I was absolutely astounded with the score that they're getting. They also broke their Olympic record in the thing that they were doing. 1 second, I can't talk while I'm typing. 1 second. Let's see, here we go. So, this girl, first off, is 14, I say first. She's a 14-year-old girl from China. Her name is Chuang Hongchan. I think I said that right. She performed she performed 3 perfect 10 dives, which if you don't know is incredibly rare to happen. And you have to get 10s from 7 judges. She got 3 perfect 10s dives and wins gold on the 10-meter platform. She ended up with a overall score of 466.2, which if I believe I remember correctly when I looked it up at the time, the previous world record for women's diving was around 420, which is incredible. Or it's either 420 or 440, I don't remember exactly. But she absolutely crushed the record, is what I can say, with an absolutely astounding score. And just watching her during the Olympics as well was absolutely incredible. Seeing her do these, perfect, beautiful dives. Even her last one was almost perfect, if I remember correctly. It was 6 10s and a 9.5. So it was a near perfect for the 4th one as well. And it was just insane. She absolutely crushed everyone else who was in the competition. And it was weird to think about as well, because the judges at the time were talking as well about how if the Olympics had happened in 2020 like they were supposed to, she wouldn't have been able to compete because she would have been 13, and the minimum age to compete in the Olympics is 14. So, if anything, COVID kind of worked out for her. She was able to join in on the Summer Olympics at the minimum age that she basically could, and wouldn't have been able to if it wasn't for COVID. So, massive props to her, and I really hope that she continues to do, I can't speak. I hope she continues to do well, is what I want to say. Let's see, what else happened at the Olympics? Let me just look up some stuff about the Olympics for this year. That happened. What are some interesting articles in here? Oh, I posted a video about this the other day in video sharing, but the bored TV man starts to film a cockroach during the hockey match at the 2020 Olympics. I thought was hilarious as hell when I heard about it. It was just, I think, if I remember correctly, I heard he got fired, which is a real shame. But it's really funny how it just cuts from the hockey going on to just a cockroach. I cracked up so big when I saw that video. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, the Olympics this year were the first Olympics to have skateboarding, which I also thought was really cool. And I watched a little bit of a news article talking about it. Let's see if I can find anything about the skateboarding. Here we go. Skateboarding at the 2020 Summer Olympics once it loads, of course. Yeah, he is a cameraman. He is supposed to seek, but I don't quite think he was recording the right things. Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did get fired. I don't remember exactly, but I think I heard that he got fired. I'm not 100% certain on that. I could probably just even look it up. 1 second. Cockroach during hockey. Cameraman has come under fire. Oh, so no. Okay, he just came under fire, but it doesn't confirm that he got fired. So he might still have a job. But as a fellow person who would understand the boredom that you would get from having to just sit there and record hockey, I think it was like skating, not even necessarily hockey, but just like kind of skating, if I remember correctly, I would probably get bored as well. Alright, let's see. Not much here on the thing I was looking at on Wikipedia for skateboarding. Let's see who even won it. It looks like Japan won skateboarding, which is interesting to see. They took home 3 gold medals. Yeah, that's not what I wanted. Go back. Japan took home 3 gold medals in skateboarding, 1 silver, 1 bronze, for a total of 5. Australia took home 1 gold. Brazil took home 3 silver. The United States took home 2 bronze, and Great Britain took home 1 bronze as well. So that's interesting. That's the first Olympics to have possessed skateboarding along with it, and I think it's really cool that they're willing to continue adding in new sports even into the modern Olympics. Let's see if I can find any stuff about Olympics record breaking. Top record breaking moments of the Tokyo Olympics. Perfect. Here we go. So we've got, oh yeah, I heard about this one. Sidney McLaughlin resets own 400-meter world record. So Sidney McLaughlin is a United States track and field runner. Give me just 1 second. Okay, yeah, and they shaved off half a second from their own world record in the U.S. trials, getting to a new 51.46. And I do remember actually hearing about that one when it happened. I just kind of forgot about that. Let's see. Caleb Dressel breaks own 100-meter fly record. I didn't hear about this one. Broke his own 100-meter butterfly world record, in which, if you don't know, is swimming, and won his 2nd individual gold medal, his 3rd overall at the Tokyo Olympics. He touched first in 49.45 seconds, lowering the mark set at the 2019 World Championships by 0.05 seconds. Good for him. Give me 1 second. The opinion on chess as an Olympic sport? Alright, we'll come back to that one. Kevin Durant breaks U.S. Olympic scoring record. Carmelo Anthony's Olympic scoring record is no more. Kevin Durant surpassed Anthony's 336 points during Team USA's preliminary contest against the Czech Republic to etch his name into the U.S. Olympic history. Even more impressive, Durant didn't even need 3 full Olympics to surpass the record that Anthony set in 4. Interesting. Japan's judo dominance. 9 natives in Japan earned judo medals for their host country, which is an Olympic record. The previous record was 8 golds, also set by Japan during the Athens Olympics in 2004. So that's been almost full 16 years-ish since the record was broken. Naohisha, I think, Takato, was the first Japanese judoka to earn his country a gold. Abe Hifumi soon followed his lead, as did Shohei Ono, Takanori Nagase, Chizuru Arai, Shori Hamada, Aaron Wolf. That's okay, I don't mean to laugh, but just all those Japanese names, and then Aaron Wolf caught me a little bit off guard. And Sone Akira. Interesting. Karsten's Wormholm annihilates the 400-meter world record. Actually, wait. Hang on. I'm gonna come back here. Nope, not this one. There was one record that I heard was broken in swimming that I want to talk about as well. Oh, they don't have it in this article. Maybe, was it not a record that was broken? It was a really impressive thing, if I remember correctly. What was it? Olympics. It was something with swimming. It might have been the 200 meter. No, it was the 1500 meter. That's what it was. Olympics 1500 meter women's swimming. There was something about that. I just don't remember what. Here we go. Katie Ledecky. That's her name. She crushes the first women's 1500 meter. That's right. It was the first 1500 meter that has gone for women in the Olympics. So, for those of you who wouldn't know, 1500 meters is basically 100 meters short of a mile. And for everyone who is from Europe, 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. So, to swim basically almost a mile, or probably about 1.5, 1.45-ish kilometers consistently is already impressive on its own. But she finished that in a victory of 15 minutes and 37.34 seconds. I cannot even. I'm someone who swim myself. I actually am on a swim team, and I've swam the 500, which is 1/3 of that, and the best time I've had is 6 minutes and 30 seconds, which would end up totaling to about 17:30, and she finished that in 15 minutes, and I cannot even imagine how she managed to do that. It's absolutely astounding, the people this year at the Olympics who broke records, set new ones. There was a lot of powerful people this year at the Olympics. But let's continue on. So, Hanizio suggested in the podcast suggestions your opinion on chess as an Olympic sport. Harkroad then added, during the Olympics they were having chess World Cups, so I don't think it's a possibility. Yeah. I think that's true. I think the Chess World Cup was happening around the same time that the Olympics were happening. Although I could be wrong. It began July 12th and ended the 6th of August. So yeah, it ended just a few days ago, but it was definitely going on during the time that the Olympics were happening. So unless for the World Cup to be... unless the World Cup was to be at a different date, or if they were to merge in some sort of way, which is the only thing that I could think of, I don't think it would work out quite as well. Also, I don't quite see it fitting in well as an Olympic sport, simply just because chess is more of a mind or mental thing, whereas the Olympics are kind of more focused on the physical. And so I feel like it might be just a little bit inappropriate to include chess as an Olympic sport, but if it were to happen, I wouldn't be upset about it. I'm sure there would be the reasons behind it, and I would check them out. But overall, that's just kind of my opinion on it. I don't think it would be the best fit, but I wouldn't be upset should it have happened. And then also, because we're just on the topic, let's check out the Chess World Cup of 2021. So, the participants, the winner I see here is Jan Kurtsiatov Duda. I think is how you pronounce it. I am bad at foreign names, I'll be completely honest with you. Took first. He is from Poland. I'm just going to call him Duda. Duda is a Polish chess player, a prodigy, achieved the title of Grandmaster in 2013 at the age of 15. Duda won the Polish World Championship in 2018 as well, and Chess World Cup this year in 2021. The runner-up was Sergei Karjakin from Russia. Sergei is a Russian chess grandmaster, a chess prodigy. He previously held the record for the world's youngest ever grandmaster, having qualified for the title at the age of 12. Interesting. And in third place, we have Magnus Carlsen from Norway. Sven Magnus Owen Carlsen is a Norwegian chess grandmaster who is the current world chess champion, world rapid chess champion, and world's blitz chess champion. Carlsen first reached the top of the FIDE world ranking in 2010 and trails only to Garry Kasparov in time as spent the highest rated player in the world. Interesting. So, let's check out just a little bit more about this. So, we have... Oh, interesting. So we have some... I found some stats here about the prize money. In round 1, there was a total of 78 prizes given out, each being around $3,750 apiece, totaling up to $292,500 US. Round 2 was 64 prizes with $6,000 each, being a total of $384,000. Round 3 was 32 prizes with $10,000 each, being a total of $320,000. Yeah. Sorry, my throat's getting a little dry. I might have to go get water in a second. I don't have actually any water with me right now, which is a mistake I've made, and it's one that I'm going to have to live with until I do go get water. Round 4 was a 16 total prizes, $16,000 each, being a total of $256,000. Round 5 was 8 prizes, $25,000 each. Round 6 was 4 prizes, $35,000 each. Fourth place got $50,000, third place got $60,000, the runner-up got $80,000, and the winner received a total of $110,000, totaling for a prize fund of $1,892,500. That's a lot of money to be given out, and these people have worked their butts off and totally deserve the money that they received. Alright, I'm going to take a quick pause real here to go get myself a glass of water, and I will be right back. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Alright, I am indeed back. I've got myself my bottle of water, and we can continue on. Alright, so let's see what else we've got for topics here on the suggestions channel. Art. How convenient. That's my username. So any piece of art that's caught my eye recently, a movie, a drawing, painting, or song. There was one movie that I saw a bit ago which did catch my eye, and I actually decided to go and watch the prequel to it, or the first movie of it that came out. I have to remember what its name is. That's it. So I saw this movie trailer called Escape Room Tournament of Champions, and it actually caught my eye more than I was expecting. What originally came up as just a YouTube ad, I was like, alright, this just seems kind of like another movie. But I actually was way more interested into what this movie was going to be about than I was expecting. And so I decided to watch the first room, which I believe is just Escape Room. I could be wrong, though. But if you haven't seen Escape Room, I totally will recommend it to anyone. In fact, maybe I'll even do it as a future movie night. But I thought it was a really good movie. The actors did a lot better job than I was expecting, to be quite honest, for what the movie topic was about, which being just a sadistic escape room. Sorry to grab and drink of water. But it had good CGI, and it was acted well, I thought. And so I'm quite interested on how the second one coming out, Escape Room Tournament of Champions, will be. Let's see if I can find some stuff on it. Tournament of Champions. So we've got for actors here. I don't see anyone popping out at me for the actors list. Yeah, no. None of these really pop out at me, at least. I don't recognize any of the names personally. But we got IMDb here. So the description given for it is six people unwittingly find themselves locked in another series of escape rooms, slowly uncovering what they have in common to survive. Joining forces with two of the original survivors, they soon discover they've all played the game before. So the main storyline, and this is a little bit, I suppose, of a spoiler. So it's not too terrible. The main storyline with Escape Room is all of the escape rooms are built so that the people who are basically invited to come do them will not survive. That's the entire thing. And So the people who go through it, it's gonna slowly whittle down like one person at a time until the end, and eventually at some point there will be just one person left, and they just basically kill them. Is what the goal is, but that's not what happens actually. So if you want to see what actually happens, I recommend you go watch Escape Room. I believe it is on. I believe I saw it on Amazon. I don't remember if it's on Amazon Prime or not. I don't think it is based off of what I remember. So I think you'll have to pay for it if you want to watch it in any capacity. But if I remember correctly, it's not too terrible. Here we go. Escape Room 2019. That sounds right. It didn't do too well, it looks like, based on other people. Personally, I liked it. But it could also just be kind of like one of those things where I have bad taste. Or it could be a scenario where it's just kind of different from person to person. So it looks like you can watch it on Vudu, Prime Video, and Apple TV. I think I watched it on Prime Video. Yeah, you can... Oh, excuse me. You can rent it for $4, so it's not too terrible. But I am quite interested to see about what it will be once it comes out. Just taking a look here on time. Oh, we've only been going for 25 minutes. Not even, actually. Interesting. Totally not fumbling for topics. Let's see if I can think about anything else. There was a song on YouTube that I've been listening to quite a bit, and it is before you give me shit about it, yes, it is a Dream SMP fucking song. But it's a good song, and quite honestly kind of could stand out on its own. It is a song called Out of Touch, which features CG5 as well, and it's made by Tia Jade. I will actually just go on ahead and link it in the podcast general. Give me 1 second. And I probably won't play it on YouTube because I'm willing to bet it's probably copyrighted, but it's an original song. I might just link the song in the end of the podcast on YouTube, or at the description of the podcast on YouTube. But it's a good song. I personally thought I liked it, and it's been kind of the main song that I've been listening to right now. I've also been listening to I've been listening to a lot of, I suppose, Friday Night Funkin' different like songs as well from like all the mods and stuff. Not just like the main game, but like the mods. The main ones I can think of are for the Friday Night Foundation mod that I've been listening to. But I haven't been listening to that as much recently. But let's see here. Let's see if I can think of anything else. Can't say much about a painting that I've seen recently. Yeah, I can't say anything about that. We have another suggestion here talking about instruments. Well, conveniently, I myself am also I don't necessarily want to say the word musician. I just kind of play. I don't actually write any music, but I do play. I play the euphonium or baritone. If you don't know what that is, I suggest you look it up. But it's essentially kind of just like a small tuba. That's the best way how I describe it. It's just a smaller tuba. It's a little bit more treble than a tuba is, less bassy. And it was the instrument that my school made me start off with, even though I wanted to start with tuba, but I was a little bit too small to play tuba. Oh wait, I see. I originally passed over Hanizio's suggestion here to talk about worst video games. I will come back to that one next after I'm done with instruments. Apologies about that. But for instruments for me right now has been weird because I've just started doing marching band camp this past week, and it just, I don't know. Life has felt very odd because it feels like everything's kind of just been starting up again at once. I know last week when I was out on my trip, I missed out on a bunch of different things that I wanted to partake in, but it just kind of happened that this trip fell at the same time that those things happened, and I didn't know when the original thing or timings of those things that were going to happen, and so I just kind of had to miss out on them, because, yeah. And now, The same thing's kind of happening these next 2 weeks, I'm noticing, where I'm gone at this band camp and I can't do anything about being able to do the things that I want to do and partake in. So it's a little sad, but we're having a good time though still at band camp. I'm trying to keep my head up about it, not getting too down, just thinking there will always be future opportunities to do those things as well. I can't say much about other instruments. All I've ever played is the euphonium and the tuba. I'm now older, of course, so I can actually now play the tuba. But that's all I can really say too much about instruments. I don't know. That's all I've got for instruments, I think, at the moment right now. Let's go back to what Honeyzig suggested being worst video games. I can't recall any bad games I've played recently. What? Let me see if I can find what the worst game that I currently own is. Because I can't recall just any off the top of my head of, like, just in general bad video games. Maybe I've played it, maybe I haven't. I don't know. What do I own? Oh, I just because I saw the first game here. I heard supposedly that what was the game called? Showdown Bandit. That's the game. I heard that flopped so goddamn badly. And I'll be honest, I kind of expected it. I've really felt like the Meatly and what is it, Kindly Be Studios now, I think? Yeah, I kind of figured that they just weren't going to be able to top the Bendy series once they finished it, and I kind of personally felt like the ending to Bendy wasn't all that great, in honesty. It kind of felt like they were just trying to rush to the ending here with the last chapter. It felt like they had all this like storyline stuff going on, but weren't ready when it was finally the last chapter time and had to finally bring it to a close. And I'll be honest, as someone who's currently working on a chapter game right now, I'm kind of understanding that issue if that was the case. I know how it feels like you just want to keep the story going, but at some point you do just have to call it quits. And you can't keep going anymore with it, and you just have to find that point where you just pull the line, say it's done, and give the people what you've got. And so while I don't blame them for the ending that they chose, I feel like they could have done better, is my opinion. And then going back to Showdown Bandit, from what I heard, that game absolutely flopped, and that is less to do with the game being bad. From what I heard, people were interested in the idea of Showdown Bandit, but Kindly Beast absolutely fucked up as a studio. They started to like give promises to their people saying like, hey, the studio's got plenty of money, your jobs are totally safe, you'll be totally fine, and then just like a week later firing half of them on the spot, no reason whatsoever. And it was appalling to hear about this. I was absolutely shocked when I heard about this story, but I was more shocked that the story didn't get more mainstream than it did. Sorry, I cut myself off. The light in my room flickered and it scared the shit out of me. Going back to what I was saying. Fuck, I lost my track what I was saying. Kindly Beast made promises that they shouldn't have, is basically what I can say. The board of directors, so I believe the board consists, I can probably even just look it up. Kindly Beast board of directors. It was the Meatly, Mike Mood, and Bookpast were the ones that I heard of in like the crew of main like board of director people. And it sounded kind of like, for the most part, Book Pass was kind of on their own in this. And Meatley was a little bit more involved, but not as much. But Mike Mood was kind of the one who just absolutely fucked over. I know that definitely was not audible on the Discord, but it might have been audible on the recording. There's a thunderstorm watch currently in effect in where I live right now. And there was just some big amounts of wind, so I've got my own ambience. Maybe YouTube also has the ambience as well, but I don't think it picks up on Discord. So you all don't get the nice wind ambience, and if suddenly the podcast quits without me actually wrapping it up, you can assume that there's been a power outage or I've been struck by lightning. One of the two. Alright. So yeah, Mike Mood absolutely screwed over the studio by essentially just kind of doing things that aren't good business practices. He kept on promising to people that their jobs were safe. They fired a shit ton of their vice presidents as well, before they made the promises to their main people that, hey, your jobs are safe. And that's kind of why they made the promise that their jobs were safe, was because they fired all the vice president people. And then there was also the fact that he was a nepotist, pretty much, and he hired his own, I don't remember, I think it was his sister, I want to say. He hired his own sister for some, like, really, really big job. I want to say it was something in social media or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. But there was that. There was a lot of Glassdoor reviews that were coming out talking about how... Okay, for some reason I had a notification here. I didn't know what it was. Talking about, like, what was going on in the studio, how Kindly Beast was just not good managed and everything. There was a possibility that they broke the law, was something that I had heard about as well. For the most part, it sounds like they didn't, but I'm also not familiar, because Kindly Beast is a Canadian studio, and so it's possible they broke Canadian firing laws, is what I heard, based on the severance packaging and stuff, and also NDAs. It sounded like they might have possibly broken the law, but I can't say for certain on whether or not they did. And then just in general, people started hating on Mike Mood for all the firings and stuff when things started to become more mainstream. It was just in general awful. And then also Mike Mood trying to do a Q&A on Reddit. And then pretty much dodging all of the actual, like, important questions talking about this stuff. And there was also his sister on that Q&A as well, who was also deleting questions like that were asking Mike Mood about, like, you know, hey, what's going on here with the Kindly Beast management? What the hell is up with all the firings and stuff like that? And actually trying to call them out. I actually just found the link for the Reddit Q&A here. So let's see if we can go through this. There was one person in this Q&A whose name was Kindly Beast. And if I remember correctly, I heard that they were supposedly possibly just like a group of the ex-employees, not just one person, and they just basically kept on berating him throughout the Q&A. They didn't actually, like, harass him during it, but they kept on asking him the questions that he should have answered, and he never did. Not a single one of them, if I remember correctly. Or either if he did, he dodged the question big time. Let's see. Here's the top one. Then this is actually the top question from the Q&A. Hi, Mike. Lots of chatter about this among your old employees. I'm not representing the views of any employee, but I'm asking the questions that others might be too afraid to ask. I will break up the question into one per post. Some questions I will not repeat in an attempt to keep the discussion civil, even if it does get heated. And they did stay civil throughout the whole thing. They stayed very kind to Mike Mood, even though he might not have deserved it necessarily. Most of it can be distilled to, why did you do this? We weren't in financial trouble. You stated you were rich enough to buy a private island. That's interesting. I didn't actually know that. Kindly Beast also has had enough cash that if we lost all of our income streams, we could keep going another 2 years before it ran out. So why fire the VPs? Why fire the rest of us? Why not trust us to do the many jobs you hired us for? Why abandon the ideal of creating a new game development hub in Ottawa? Why Thanksgiving weekend? Why tell us over and over your jobs aren't in danger and we're family here? Why could you at least be there for any of this? Of yourself for any of this? So, based on reading through that, it sounds kind of like Mike just kind of... It sounds like a scenario where Mike took the money and ran. Let's be honest. It sounds kind of like where he had amassed all the money through Kindly Beast, didn't care to actually, use it to continue Kindly Beast and maybe make it a better company, and just kind of took the money, fired everyone, and ran off onto his own. Which is a shit thing to do. I think we all can agree on that. That is an absolutely shit thing to do. I'm not saying that's what he did, but that's what it sounds kind of like happened. I can't say for certain on whether or not anything of that happened. And then also here, going back to Showdown Bandit. What happened to Showdown Bandit? According to several people, the game was near completion, or 100% completed, when you abruptly took it from the staff, fired most of them, and reduced the game down to its bare essentials. Why'd you do this, and why'd you claim you were trying to make sure the game was as best as it could be, instead of just telling everyone the truth? Why was any sort of innovating regarding the game or its coding discouraged? That was what I wanted to talk about with Showdown Bandit. So, shortly, I think it was about like a day or so before the game was supposed to be released, an update got put out basically saying, hey, we're delaying the release because we want to make sure that Showdown Bandit is as best as it could be, in their words. Which sounds nice which sounds nice just listening to that at that time, before the game was released. It's just them wanting to make sure everything was ready, all good. But then what actually happened is Mike Mood, I can't say if the meat lead did or not, but Mike Mood, I know, just kind of stripped the game of everything that made it what people were looking for. He pulled out everything. He even took out a lot of like the visual assets and stuff. He took out all the good, like, entertaining gameplay parts of it and stuff like that, and then made it, quote-unquote, his own type of thing, and just pretty much ruined the game for what people wanted. And I know there was a lot of people who are like content creators who were back supporting the Meatly and the Kindly Beast when it was just Bendy being made, but pretty much dropped the ball the second Showdown Bandit happened. I know Jacksepticeye was one of those people who actually, if you don't know, voiced on Bendy and the Ink Machine, who's one of the characters. But if I remember correctly, he never did a video on Showdown Bandit. Yeah, he never did a video on Showdown Bandit, which strikes you as odd. If this man was working with Kindly Beast and stuff and actually supported them, why wouldn't he play their game, right? So I have a feeling that Mike Mood probably alienated a lot of people and pretty much ruined any chance of a second Bendy and the Ink Machine game, at least like canon game. Of course, people can make fan games and stuff, but canon game, and completely ruined Showdown Bandit. I'm pretty sure Showdown Bandit's not even on Steam anymore, from what I heard. I heard that they supposedly just took it completely off of Steam, like, hey, not selling this anymore, suck it. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's not on Steam anymore. So, you can't even buy the game anymore if you wanted to. So, for the most part, I've got a feeling Kindly Beast, if it hasn't already, it's gonna go bankrupt, and it might have already have. Let me see if I can find anything about bankruptcy. Bankruptcy. No, I'm only finding stuff about them laying off those people, which I don't remember if I specifically said it. They laid off 50 people. That's a lot of people to lay off, and I'm pretty sure was illegal for them to do in Canada, to lay off that many people. Oh. Interesting. I just went to the website kindlybeast.com, which returns a webpage that is black with a box as its icon and the text null as the webpage header, Let's see if I can find some stuff here in the source code. There's nothing. There's nothing anymore. The only stuff, it's literally just Squarespace, like, stuff left over, stuff for mobile, like, transitions and stuff. But the actual website, like, code in here is gone. It's just been ripped out. And then, let me see if I can find anything about the Meatly. I think the Meatly kind of went on his own from Kindly Beast. Official Twitter. Oh, no. So, never mind. I was looking at the wrong thing. Let's see if he's even actually posted anything recently. August. Oh, so it does look like he is still active on Twitter. Yeah, because he just retweeted a post from yesterday. So he's still active on Twitter. But he doesn't look like he's actually said anything. He's just been retweeting a bunch of stuff, like Bendy and Neek Machine fan art, is kind of all it looks like. He hasn't made a single... Oh, here we go, August 2nd. Hey all, just want to let you know I've had some slowdown in answering fan messages / emails today. Been working hard on Bendy and the Dark Revival. Okay, interesting. And trying to focus on that. So sorry to the hundreds of people who have been sending such nice emails. I really appreciate you. So he has still been working on Bendy and the Dark Revival. Let's see if we can find anything more on Bendy and the Dark Revival. Because I think this game was supposed to come out already this, like, past year or whatever. And then it got delayed. And then it got delayed again, from what I remember. Okay. So it looks like Meatly's kind of gone off on his own. I don't see any reference here to Kindly Beast in any of this. But it kind of looks like the Meatly's taken everything back for his own and is rebranded just under Joey Drew Studios. Which is fair. If Mike Mood was the person that it sounds like he was, which sounds like a nepotist asshole, I would probably do the same. I would probably try to get back the rights to my own game, which I remember, if I remember correctly, the Meatly was the one who made the game originally. And then I think there was one other guy who was working with, I don't remember if it was Mike Mood or not, or if it was someone else. But I would want to try to get back the rights to my own game and try to still continue doing it. If, you know, of course, your name hasn't been besmirched so horrifically. Alright. But I think that's all I have right now for worst video games topic. And then we just have another one here called cool stuff. So, for cool stuff, let's just check out the news. Because maybe we'll get some not depressing, actually interesting topics. Maybe. It's a lot of just kind of United States specific political stuff that I'm seeing right now. I'm not gonna click on any biased news sites. Let's see. Nothing really that I would want to go into talking about. I don't know. Let's see. Any of you guys got any interesting things that have been going on around where you live that you might want to have me talk about or that I could look into? Let's see. We got Mashcore typing. Let's see what it says. What if... Alright. What about biased news websites, he says? Well, what do we got here on Fox News? So for those of you who don't know, most news websites kind of have like a political leaning one way or another. Fox News typically leans right, CNN typically leans left. So I try to avoid those two websites when as much as I can. There's certain websites that I'll use for news that are unbiased. If I need to look up political stuff, that I'll use. I don't see anything really interesting. What? Okay, never mind. I did find something interesting. Olympic cyclist Olivia Podmore dead at 24 shortly after Instagram post video. Hang on. Shortly after Instagram post detailing mental health struggle. Interesting. This is a little bit of a depressing topic, so, and I don't know the details of this personally, but if you are someone who has mental health issues or anything like that, this might not be the greatest thing for you to listen to at the moment. So if you're watching this in the video, skip to later. I might put a timestamp in about when you should skip to. And if you're listening right now, feel free to tune out, and I'll put a thing in general when we're done talking about this. So, just reading through the article, the Olympic community is mourning the sudden death of New Zealand cyclist Olivia Podmore at 24 years old. The rider's mental health is being looked at as a possible clue into her passing. Podmore, who represented her country in 2016 Olympic Games and Rio in 2018 in the Commonwealth Games, was reportedly dead on Monday by multiple outlets. Cycling New Zealand confirms the news of her death the following day on social media. We at Cycling New Zealand are deeply saddened with the sudden loss of our young cyclist Olivia Podmore. Olivia is such a loved and respected rider in our Cycling New Zealand squad and the wider cycling community. The group sent a statement post on Facebook. Many people are understandably devastated and trying so hard to comprehend what has happened. We have been and will continue to provide support to our staff and riders, the cycling community, and those who were close to Olivia. Damn. So, it sounds like they don't entirely know the cause of death yet. I don't know, it doesn't say, like, if it was suicide or if she died, like, let's see. Waikato police reported a sudden death at the property of Cambridge on Monday evening, but declined to name the cause of death, according to New Zealand news outlet stuff. So, it was at a house, it sounds like it was at her house. Interesting. So, it could have been suicide, potentially. Or it could have been some sort of accident. I'm willing to lean more towards suicide based on the fact that the police declined to talk about the cause of death. But that's really, really upsetting to hear about, especially considering she wasn't even able to participate, it sounds like, in this year's Olympics. Or she didn't participate in this year's Olympics. Olivia Podmore celebrates a win in the first race of the elite women's sprint final during day 2 of the New Zealand national Okay, no, that was something different, not the Olympics. So, yeah, it sounds like she didn't even participate in these year's Olympics. Damn, that's really, really sad to hear about. It doesn't look like we had anyone tune out, so I won't bother putting anything in general. Yeah, it is indeed sad. Alright, I'm not seeing much more interesting that I would care to talk about right now. Never mind, actually. Batman's sidekick, Robin, comes out as bisexual in upcoming comic. Oh god, hang on, I got a video playing. In the latest installment of Batman Urban Legends, the DC comic book character Tim Drake, aka the Caped Crusader's sidekick Robin, accepts an invitation to go on a date with a man named Bernard Dowd, thereby confirming Robin's LGBTQ status, TMZ has reported. Robin's bisexual narrative unfolds in what one fan calls a light bulb moment, as he and Bernard find themselves in a street-side brawl after the hero ultimately rescues Bernard Robin and later pays him a visit at his apartment. As Drake, the character can be seen psyching himself up for Green Bernard. It's okay, Tim. You got this. Interesting. You know what? The most I can really say is good for him, you know? I'm glad that we're actually seeing a little bit more of LGBTQ status outside of the typical lesbian, visual, or I don't know, lesbian storyline that we've seen in comic books, because typically that's all I've kind of really seen in most heroes comic books, like that type of stuff is at most lesbian, and that's it. And that's still in, like, for the case of it, it kind of panders a little bit towards like what guys would want, and so to see a guy being bisexual in a comic book is actually kind of interesting, and it's bringing out some little bit more representation. So that's actually quite nice to hear. Now then, leaning on to the left side of websites, we've got CNN. Let's see. 3 major U.S. airlines will not mandate. Nope. Nope. World's smallest known baby at birth leaves hospital. Let's see about this one. World's smallest known baby at birth, who weighed 7.5 ounces, recently left the hospital. Baby born weighing just 212 grams, or 7.5 ounces, about as heavy as a softball or an apple. The apple one puts in perspective a lot. That's really light. Has left the hospital after more than a year and arrived at her family home. Interesting. Kwek Yu Xuan was born almost 4 months prematurely in Singapore. Oh, that's why she's so light. She was born 4 months prematurely in June of 2020 and was considered by doctors to have a limited chance of survival. I don't blame her. I think I was born, personally, about a month prematurely. And I know it's given a few health issues. I think I, for the most part, have kind of gotten over most of the health issues that occurred from being born prematurely. But I could not imagine the amount of health issues she would have had being born 4 months prematurely. But the hospital that has housed her for more than a year announced at the weekend that, against the odds, she has been discharged in July at a far healthier weight of 6.3 kilograms, or 13.9 pounds. That is a lot better to hear. She is believed to have been the lightest baby ever delivered and discharged well to home. A registry managed in the University of Iowa lists 230-gram, 8.1-ounce child born in Germany in 2016 as the lightest, while the Guinness World Record is held by 245-gram, 8.6-ounce American child born in 2018. Excuse me. That is incredible to hear, and I hope that she continues in life and that being born that early won't have any more health issues for her. That hospital though is absolute gods for being able to get her up to that weight in just a year. That's very impressive. She's still gonna have a long way to go. She is now actually a year old, and by a year old she should have had a much more better weight, but that's much better, of course, than it was. And she'll probably be pretty light for her entire life, but I don't know, it could continue to get better. Might get, worse, I guess. That's the only interesting real topic I'm seeing, though, on CNN. Alright. Well, we're running now at about an hour-ish. So, unless you guys have any more topics you'd care to add into the suggestions that I should talk about, it could be literally anything. I don't care. I'll talk about it. Unless you guys have any more topics, I'll start to wrap this up. So, I'll give you guys just a minute. See if you can come up with anything. Is there anything I want to talk about? Well, how's my life been lately? Alright, I can talk about that. The answer is crazy. When I upload this video, I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and I'll probably also be adding it into this one Discord server I'm on called The Boys. And if you don't know, or I guess for those of you who don't know, I've started working with some pretty big YouTubers, I'll be quite honest with you. Some pretty big content creators, and some people who I have admired since my youth, quite frankly. I remember watching them back around the age of 11 or 12, and now I'm working with these guys, and it's been absolutely mind-boggling to do. It's been very surreal, and I don't know what to say. I'm pretty sure as well that I'm in a video that's being uploaded tomorrow from one of these guys, and it's really just such a weird feeling being able to say that I've made it to a point where I can work with the people that I used to look up to. That is an incredible thing to say. And I hope that I can continue, of course, doing this. Continue working with these amazing people. And hopefully also better myself and give even more than I already am. There's also been a lot of contacts that I've made as well through the release of the Insignia project. There's a lot of things that I have planned with the Insignia project coming up, and I'll be honest with you, this is kind of just my little ad for the Insignia project right now, but if you haven't already, go wishlist the Insignia project on Steam, and if you can afford it, it's $2. You can buy the Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 package right now, and if you have that purchased before Chapter 3 comes out, you don't have to pay the additional money that it'll cost to get Chapter 3, because the price is going to increase when Chapter 3 comes out. Anyways, yeah, Harkro just says, yeah, go wishlist it, you beautiful people. So, continuing on, the Insignia project has also been absolutely great to work on. It's been my flagship game so far, but it's not quite, I'll be honest, my dream game. And quite honestly, I don't know what my dream game is, but it's not I have a feeling it's not going to be my proudest game I'll ever make. I remember just kind of looking at the comparison screenshots, which I'll put a picture of it right now up, and I can also post it in the Discord. But I remember looking at that screenshot, or that before and after image that I made, and just thinking, like, holy crap, I really made games like this. not even a year ago, I'll be honest. And I really decided that, like, originally this was, like, the best looking. I thought it'd look great and amazing. And now I'm just kind of like, this is weak. Like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I can make stuff so much better. It's just, I've learned a lot, I feel like, in a very short amount of time. I feel like I shouldn't be able to do what I can do right now as quickly as I can. I remember when I posted that screenshot as well, that there was a guy who commented on it. Let me go find it real quick. It was on Instagram. There's a guy who commented on it. Where is it? Here it is. Goes by the name of Design Morphine, who has on Instagram 60.8 thousand followers. And he left the comment of, amazing looking scene. Love that haze. And I remember seeing that comment and just being like, that I almost cried, I'll be honest with you. I was like, damn, people of this size and magnitude are genuinely enjoying and thinking that the stuff that I make looks really good. And that's always what I want to do. I want it to not only look good, but also to play good. And so that's kind of why I switched the name from bug testers to QA team, because I want to make sure that not just the game is bug free, but it's also got qualities assured. That in the end, it's the best game that it can be. And quick thing though, to my QA team, you guys are fantastic people. I would not have been able to do the Chapter 2 update without you. You guys are awesome, and I wish you all didn't say that you wanted to do volunteer, because I wish I really could have paid you. But you guys are awesome. The QA team was awesome with you guys to work with. You guys were so patient with me, and I am very glad to be able to continue working with you guys on the next chapter for the game as well. And I'm hoping for the next chapter to expand the QA team as well. I want to get some more people in here for the QA team, because it's the final. Whatever I post here, it's going to be it. And I want that to be 110%. And I'll be honest, I'm not ready for it to come to an end yet. I'm going to be relieved when it's done, because then it means that I can continue on to new things and go on to some other ideas. Also, I see we've got another person. Hello, welcome on into the podcast. But it means I can continue on to some new ideas. But it also means that unless I make a sequel game or something, I can't really continue on with this idea, and I've been enjoying it for so long. I like the idea for the Insignia project of being this, collided, meshed world of disaster, and I can do whatever I want because everything's there. And having that freedom for the game is nice, of course. But at the same time, I really don't have as much freedom because I've got to follow now the rules of my own game. And being the game developer, I can flex these rules really whenever I want. But that doesn't mean that it'll still be a good game. I couldn't just suddenly throw in a Left 4 Dead style level without it seeming very weird and out of place. Like, I've still got limits to what I can do. I couldn't suddenly just be like, alright, chapter 3 is a tycoon game, and you must suffer with that. It's just, it wouldn't work. I've got the limits to what I can do with the Insignia project right now, and I didn't realize you were actually from outside the Discord. Welcome on into the Discord. I believe that's Korean. I don't speak Korean, so I'm sorry I cannot pronounce your name, but welcome on in. Where was I going? But yeah, it's gonna be bittersweet. That's what I can say about when the Insignia project is done. And is there a specific game idea I'd like to share? I'll come back to that. I do have one I want to talk about. What was I going to say? With the Insignia projects. Where was I going with this? I lose track of what I was saying real quickly if you haven't learned. Of course, it's going to be bittersweet when I release it, but I also can't wait to just show you what the hell goes on inside my mind, because that's going to be the real end to it. It is going to be the thoughts in my mind about how this game, I want it to go, of course, but also just kind of the general thought process. You'll learn a lot better of how I think. And I feel like the Insignia project's going to set up well for future games, but of course, I don't think I can really stick with the whole horror genre forever. I think at some point, fairly soon, I want to make a non-horror game. Not even like, there might be some spooky jump scares and stuff, like little Easter egg stuff later, but just a genuine, not horror game. Maybe like an actual tycoon game or something like that I was suggesting. Really just kind of make something just that wouldn't be an actual really Darkened Studios game. I would probably not classify it, honestly, as a Darkened Studios game. I'd probably classify it as just specifically a me game, an art to video games made game. And it'll be different when that happens because there won't be the same flair, I suppose, that is now been assigned to it being a Darkened Studios game. But yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of, yeah. I don't entirely know where I'm going with this at the moment. Is there a specific game idea I'd like to share? When I first started game development with Unity, the reason why I started is because I wanted to make a game that I wouldn't have been able to with Scratch. And I had this idea for a game called 777.exe, which, to be quite frank, is kind of just where the story for Core came from. It's very similar story for how I had it planned out. But by God, was I not able to make stuff at the time. I think I've talked about this before, but when I was trying to make 777.exe, I didn't understand jack shit about Unity, and so I was trying to make an FPS game then, and it couldn't happen. I couldn't figure out how colliders worked. Do you think I can make an RP? I actually have and it's on itch.io, but it's also on an itch.io page I don't use anymore because it was kind of just, I'll be honest, it's a scam page. It's kind of just a scam. I uploaded a few games on there that were like Unity tutorial games that literally anyone could make, and just added some of my own like slight tweaks, and then just kind of posted it and said, hey, you have to pay me for it. And they're absolute scams. But there is an RPG Maker game on there. I don't remember what it's called at this time, but there is one on there. But going back to 777.exe, I couldn't figure out shit about Unity, and so I couldn't figure out how colliders worked for an FPS game, and so I genuinely just had to scrap the game because I couldn't get the player to just stand on a terrain. Like, I could not get them to just be on ground without them phasing through it. And looking back on it now, it's just like, oh, I know exactly where I went wrong. I know how I could have done it. And I wish I put more effort into trying to figure out how to do it. It was just, oh, it was fun times. And I remember scrapping that and then trying to go to like a 3D styled Space Tycoon game, which I never really got, well, off the ground in more senses than one. And then I did make an actual Space Tycoon game for a game jam. It didn't win, but I still made it, and that was fun to do. It was like a tycoon base like builder thing. It was, you start off with a satellite, a tiny little satellite, and you had to click the satellite and you would get solar points. And I don't remember exactly how it goes, but like you would get more points and stuff. You could trade them out for other things, but you mostly would spend these points to upgrade, to upgrade the size of your satellite and make it bigger, get more solar energy and whatever, and make your satellite better. And then I kind of just made it without there being any ability to reset or whatever, so the game would just kind of go on infinitely with no long-term replayability. It had replayability, but it didn't have long-term, and also it was a game where you couldn't actually close it without it resetting. I didn't know how to make player prefs, so if you closed the game, everything was gone. You couldn't get back to where you were without having to go through the monotony that is rebuilding your satellite again. Oh, and I've got Discord frozen. There we go. Is there any style game that I want to try other than 3D horror? I think I mentioned just a minute ago, but I want to kind of go back to the tycoon idea. I like tycoon games personally, and I wouldn't want to do a 3D game. It would be really different because I've never made a 2D game, but I would want to do a 2D tycoon game. So it would take a bit longer, I think, to try to do, just trying to figure out 2D. But for the most part, once I've kind of just gotten 2D down, everything else is kind of just the same from 2D to 3D. It's, code's all the same and stuff like that. Probably be easier, honestly, because then I can actually make sprites. I'm not good at making game-ready 3D models, but I can, technically. They're just not good. But I can make good graphics, is something I can do. And I can make good game-ready graphics. So if I could just figure out how to do 2D, or even just took a minute off my ass and actually bothered to try to learn 2D, I could probably make a 2D tycoon game. And then also an RPG game. Something, I think, going back to the dream game idea, my ultimate dream game to make would be an MMO. And the reason why I have that down as a dream game is because MMOs are not easy to make, especially, just ask anyone who's tried to make an MMO. You have to pay for not just the game, but you also have to pay for constant maintenance, and if the game doesn't do well, it's gone. There's nothing there if it doesn't actually do well, so you need to have, before you make an MMO, you need to have a player base who's going to be ready for it and who's going to want to play it, is the biggest thing. And if there is not that player base already pre-set up, you're just not going to have a game. But then also, being able to deliver then on the game that you promise for an MMO is the next big important part. Being able to keep it fresh and new for people who are playing it, and just in general, like actually keeping the game up to date. That an MMO is something you need a team for, is the biggest thing. It's something you need a lot of money for, and it's something you need a fan base or player base for. And I don't have most of those. I don't have those to the scale that I would need. I don't have a team that's the big, or not a development team. I have a QA team, of course, and they're awesome, but they aren't a development team. That's what you would need to keep the game fresh, up to date, and good for people who are playing long term. You would need to have the money, of course, to manage servers and stuff like that. And you need to have, one second, sorry. Yeah. And you need to have the, just a consistent player base, constant people, either if they're rotating in and out, or even if you're just having a constant stream in, but you can't have a stream down. As soon as you are losing players, that means you're doing one or the other two wrong. Either your servers are down, or you aren't keeping it fresh. And that's the biggest thing. But if I ever could get to the point, even just working on an MMO, honestly, I'd love to work on, with like some big AAA company on making an MMO. And even if I'm just working as like a junior dev, I wouldn't mind it, quite frankly, because it's cool to just be able to work on an MMO or something like that, something you know a lot of people are going to play, enjoy, and something they're going to really... one second, sorry. MMOs are the type of game where players who play it either just play it to relax, or they're going to hard focus in on every little detail of the game. And that's the kind of people that I like to cater to, are the people who want to really focus in on every little bit, every little storyline, detail type of stuff like that. And that's why I like MMOs, is you can actually just focus on those detail things, because it's like most of the MMOs are open world, some are RPGs, you know. But in all, where am I going with this? They're just fun games. Like any good MMO I've heard of, again, well, maybe not Blizzard right now, I'll be honest. We can go into that topic after I'm done, actually. But any MMO I've played has been fun, and I've enjoyed them. I don't play MMOs too much, but I don't mind the game, and I certainly like the game genre, is what I want to say. But going into this, so Hanizio said in general, Art's going into Blizzard and going to work on World of Warcraft. And, yep, and then Mashcore just put a reminder, Blizzard situation. Oh boy, is this a topic to talk about, and I'm surprised I didn't talk about it. Blizzard, as of the time of recording this, is being sued. Big time. For big old sexual harassment charges. And discrimination. And a lot of bad shit. And quite frankly, if they don't pull their head out of the ass for all this, they might go under. Let's see this topic. So we got a topic here we got an article from Polygon. Activision's Blizzard: How a Frat House Workplace Led to Sexual Harassment Lawsuit. Behind the headlines of company's internal reckoning. Activision Blizzard, the developer and publisher of mega franchises like World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Call of Duty, is in crisis. The company faces wide-ranging, highly damaging allegations that maintains a toxic workplace that is hostile to women, employs a disproportionately low number of them, pays them less, and subjects them to sexual harassment, and whose perpetrators are not meaningfully punished. And the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing filed a lawsuit against Activision on July 20th for 10 violations of the state employment law. This followed a 2-year DFEH investigation of the company's workplace practices. The DFEH report for investigation dated June 24th found that Activision Blizzard discriminated against female employees in terms of condition of employment, including compensation, assignment, promotion, termination, constructive discharge, and retaliation. Now, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are working on trying to make this situation better. The president of Blizzard, if I remember correctly, stepped down, and in his place are stepping up two co-presidents, one being male, one being female, which is good, because this is going to actually put a female in charge of the company to be able to avoid situations like this again. The issue, though, is because, these companies have places where everyone works. They can't just, be at the headquarters and be managing everyone in every place perfectly. They have to really boil down to their company ethics code and everything and really fix it all. They're going to have to do a complete overhaul of their, entire company, structure, and completely rework it so that there is not this discrimination going on in the workplace if they want a chance to make it through this without being sued for tons and tons of money. I will not be surprised, personally, I'll be a little bit surprised if they do actually go under, to be quite frank, but I won't be surprised if they do start closing some game servers. If it might be temporarily, it might be permanently, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, because there's a lot of workers who worked at Blizzard who left. They just said, no, we're done, we're out, see ya. They went on strike on the company, and a lot of them also just quit in general. And I don't blame them, not in the least. Especially in this current economy, I give them props for honestly being able to manage to do it. But Blizzard's going to take a hard hit from it, and I won't be surprised if we see some World of Warcraft servers going temporarily or permanently offline, or some Call of Duty servers also going temporarily or permanently offline. And it might be a while before they finally actually recover from this. We live now in a society where it's just you do this type of thing and it could be the end, literally. So that is the Blizzard topic. And I think I'm going to start to wrap it up. My voice is getting a little hoarse if you can't hear it already. I've been talking for almost an hour now straight, so I'm going to start to wrap things up here. But I appreciate everyone who hopped into the podcast today, everyone who's watching from the future. Thank you as well for watching. And everyone who's here live, thank you so very much for coming in, giving me suggestions, and listening to the ramblings of an insane man. If you at any point want to go re-listen to this, of course, you can go re-listen to this later on YouTube when it's uploaded. I will be notifying you guys when it's uploaded. And if you want to give me future podcast suggestions, feel free to join on in if you're new to the server, the podcast in general. Join the Discord. That's where I record the podcasts, and you can get the Artcast suggestion, and I will then notify you about when the podcast goes live. You can also leave podcast suggestions here, and that is about it. So, thanks again, everyone, so much for joining, and I hope to talk and see to you all later. Take care. See you all.